এবার করুণা করো বৈষ্ণব গোসাই
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 পতিত পাবন তোমা বিনে কেহ নাই
অতীত পাবন তোমা বিনে কেহ নাই।
পতিত পাবন
Today is the appearance day birthday of Prabhupada's guru, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakura Prabhupada. Once in Vrindavan, when Prabhupada came from America, the devotees were unpacking his bags, making his room comfortable. He was in the room. There were 5 or 6 or more devotees in the room busying around, just unpacking his bags. And someone took from the bag the photo of Prabhupada's guru. And Prabhupada said, "Put Prabhupada here." And when he said that, everybody just stopped. Prabhupada is saying, "Put Prabhupada here." So immediately everyone was confused, like, what does that mean? And then he laughed and said, "Yes, I have my Prabhupada also." So, I asked this question, who was the first Prabhupada? You know? Who was the first Prabhupada that we know of? No. That was the last one that we know of. Mahaprabhu, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Mahaprabhu is called Prabhupada. Prabhupada, name Prabhupada, this is not actually for the public. Although it has become so popular that our Prabhupada is known as Swami Prabhupada. He is called like that by the public. But actually this is not so much for the public. Just like in the house, you have maybe a word for your father. What is it? What do the children call their father? Appa. Now, let us say you go in the high court, or you go in some big, sophisticated gathering. Is it proper for your son to shout in the court? Oh, and you are the judge, and the son will shout, "Appa, Appa," and call you by that name in the court. It's not proper. Well, it's not improper to call Srila Prabhupada or Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada in the public. But this word for father, Appa in Kannada, or whatever, there, Pita, Papa, there are so many in different countries. There's a way that a son or a daughter affectionately calls for their father. Daddy, for example. You can imagine in the high court, the daughter stands up and addresses her father. Daddy is not the appropriate. In the public, there'll be some more protocol. And the intimacy will be kept for the homeland, not for the public. No, moreover, this name of Prabhupada is a very intimate name of Mahaprabhu. Very intimate name of Mahaprabhu. And as such, after some time, Sri Rupa Goswami, he was also known as Prabhupada. But also Sanatana Goswami, he was also known as Prabhupada. Jiva Goswami was also known as Prabhupada. There were many devotees referred to as Prabhupada, but in our tradition, Mahaprabhu himself was the first. And you only find, I think, once this name is mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Prabhupada. So there is a certain intimacy attached to this name. Do you follow me up to this point? So, what first led to other devotees, they are being called as Prabhupada, such as Rupa Goswami, because he was very intimate devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was such intimate devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Rupa Goswami, that he could understand what was in the heart of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, whereas even other great devotees, like Vikreshwara Pandit or Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, there were many great devotees at the time, even Govinda, his personal servant. And sometimes what Mahaprabhu was expressing, what was in his heart, he was giving some expression to that in a secret way, in a hidden way. Only Rupa Goswami, and it is said Swarup Damodar, these two, they could understand what Mahaprabhu wants to say. What feeling in his heart he's giving expression to. Particularly it was the case in Ratha Yatra. Mahaprabhu was dancing in front of Lord Jagannath. And Mahaprabhu started singing some poems, some songs, which are from the Bharat Muni, some writings of Bharat Muni, some Bharat something Shastra. It is all about the love of this world. The love of a boy and a girl. They're falling in love. These are very mundane writings, this Bharat Muni. He wrote about just the love of this world. Well, Mahaprabhu started singing those songs in front of Lord Jagannath. Nobody could understand, why are you singing those songs? Everybody thought it was very peculiar. Very peculiar. But Rupa Goswami understood what was in the Lord's heart, and he recomposed the same poems. Actually, they were the words of Srimati Radharani. Her words to Krishna at Kurukshetra. When Radha and Krishna were meeting once at Kurukshetra, Radharani composed some very sweet words requesting Krishna, please come back to Vrindavan. Come back to the bank of the Kalindi. Kalindi means the Jamuna. Let us go to Vrindavan. That is a more beautiful place than this Kurukshetra. Here there are many elephants, many chariots, many soldiers. And you are here and I am here, but this atmosphere is a big disturbance. Let us go back to Vrindavan, where we first met. So Mahaprabhu, he was dancing in front of Lord Jagannath, and he was in that mood of Radharani. And Jagannath is Krishna. And he's in that mood, and he's inviting Krishna to come back to Vrindavan. We will be happy together. You come to Vrindavan. But he was doing it in a hidden way. He was singing these ordinary songs of a boy and a girl, and they're inviting each other to come and enjoy their love affair. And no one could understand what was in his heart but Rupa Goswami, and he recomposed the subject matter. And when Mahaprabhu saw that, he gave him a slap. He gave Rupa Goswami a slap. And he said, how have you invaded my heart? How have you understood what is in my heart? But actually he was very happy to see that Rupa Goswami was so close to him. Then the devotees, Mahaprabhu invited the devotees, you come and see what Rupa Goswami has written. And there was some meeting and all. And in that meeting, Mahaprabhu asked the devotees, you please bless Rupa Goswami. Then Swarup Damodar told, my Lord, you have already blessed him. He is already the recipient of your mercy. Otherwise, he could not know what is in your heart. So, from that time on, Rupa Goswami was known as the leader of the Sampradaya of Mahaprabhu. And because he understood and could reveal the heart of Mahaprabhu, he was called Prabhupada. Similarly, Sanatana Goswami, Jiva Goswami, and many others had been called Prabhupada throughout the history of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. So the first qualification that we will address, any great personality is Prabhupada, is what? He must know the heart of Mahaprabhu. It is not a generic name. It can be taken as such. The Advaita Vamsa, one Sahajiya section, they call their guru Prabhupada also. But we don't take it that the Sahajiya section, they know about the intimacy of the Supreme Lord. They don't know actually what is in his heart. Rather we say they misread the whole thing. Imitation is Sahajis, but they call their guru Prabhupada. Generically, Prabhupada means one at whose feet there are many masters. So there are many learned persons as such. Well, there are many gurus in India and they have many learned disciples. But we will not say that, yes, because they have many learned disciples, they may be called Prabhupada also. So there is a generic way, and any guru can be called as a Prabhupada. But there is an internal meaning where we find that this is very special. This is not ordinary. And we even find many great personalities, very great personalities, they do not support that title. They do not host that title as part of their title, like Srila Sridhar Maharaj. We did not call him as Prabhupada, or Srila Puri Maharaj. Doesn't mean they didn't know what is Mahaprabhu. Doesn't mean that at all. But they kept that regard only for their guru. Like now in the present times. No sane man, no matter how many disciples he has, he will accept the name of Prabhupada. Because that will bring immediate ridicule from Vaishnavas all over the world. Oh, why he's telling us a Prabhupada? Why he's telling us a Prabhupada? Prabhupada was a Prabhupada. We should not give that name to anybody else. That was for him only. And many of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's disciples, they also felt like that. And then when our guru, when we called him Prabhupada, wow, that was a big disturbance in India. Many people protested about that. There was even a bund, strike, a protest, a boycott. There was even a boycott. Why he is called as Prabhupada. Some of Prabhupada's godbrothers came one day and protested. Why are you calling yourself Prabhupada? Prabhupada said, I don't call myself Prabhupada. He never wrote his name, Prabhupada. He never wrote his name, Guru Maharaj, because that's what was in his name. His name was A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, and that's how he signed his name. And that was on his letterhead also. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Not A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Although that was published on his books, we did that. We published the name of Prabhupada on his books. And but as for his letterhead, it says A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. So someone complained, then he called for his letterhead and showed them this letterhead. I do not call myself Prabhupada. So the disciples may call their guru Prabhupada. But we saw that also great personalities like Srila Sridhar Maharaj and others, they are not taking this title. So similarly, nowadays, currently, most devotees with disciples, etc., they don't take this title of Prabhupada. Do you follow? So today in Gaudiya Math is a very, very big day because this is the day, the appearance of their founder Acharya. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakura Prabhupada appeared in 1874. He was the fourth son of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He appeared in the world as a response to a prayer. Bhaktivinoda Thakur prayed very earnestly to Lord Jagannath, please send me someone. He didn't necessarily say son, but he said, please send me. And he didn't say it once. He said it many times over. He prayed to Lord Jagannath, please send me someone who can establish this movement, who can help me in establishing your movement all over the world. Please send me someone. So after some time, he's praying like that. Then his fourth son was born. When he was born, there's this thing called umbilical cord. It is connecting the child to the mother. This was wrapped around his neck like a Brahmin's thread. So this was the first thing that was noticed. When he was born, his umbilical cord was wrapped around his neck like a Brahmin's thread. Now, who told us that? Obviously the mother. The mother or the father or the maidservants might have told us that. I wasn't there. Prabhupada wasn't there. None of our Prabhupada's godbrothers was there. How would they know that when their guru was born, his umbilical cord was wrapped around his neck like a Brahmin's thread? I mean, so many things happen when one person is born. Why would that be passed down and his disciples come to know of it? Because even his mother and even his father took note of this particular thing. And they may have at the time even gisted, oh, he was born Brahmin. But actually they are not Brahmin caste. He was not a Brahmin by caste, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. That is called, in Bengal it's called Kayastas. They're not Pakka Brahmin caste. So maybe his parents gisted, oh, just see, he's born Brahmin. There's always been a problem for the last 5,000 years with this Brahmanism in India. Many people have opposed it and fought it in different ways. And it has opposed and fought Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement in many ways, historically. Almost more than any other community, the Brahmins opposed Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Not all, but many of those opposers, we find they're Brahmins. So, like that, he was born like that. Then, after some time, let me see, what was the next function? There was some short time afterwards. Oh, that's right. He's born now. Then comes up in July is Rath Yatra, Jagannath Rath Yatra. So, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was the magistrate at Jagannath Puri. The whole temple control was under him at that time. The system was, the British had made an arrangement, the whole control of the Jagannath temple was under the magistrate. He was district magistrate. What's that called? DM. He was the district magistrate in Puri, and Puri was the main city in all of Orissa at that time, the main center in all of Orissa. So he held a very big position. So his house, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's house, where Bhaktisiddhanta was born, is on the street called Car Street. And every year, Rath Yatra goes down Car Street. That street is more than 108 feet wide. It's huge wide, very big street, very wide. It must be, I don't know, 208 feet wide. It's a huge, wide street. And at Rath Yatra on that street gathers an ocean of devotees from the highest category to the most ordinary category. From the gate of Jagannath temple all the way down, which is a couple of kilometers, to the temple called Gundicha. And the Raths of Jagannath, Subhadra, and Baladev, they are pulled by the people down this street. And I mean, there's lakhs and lakhs of people there for that event. So, historically, Jagannath has a pastime of sometimes stopping on the way. And he'll stop in a particular place on a number of pleas. Sometimes a wheel breaks, or an axle breaks, or it goes astray and runs into someone's house and knocks the house down. I have seen. One year when Vishnu Maharaj and I were there, Lord Balaram's cart just went astray and smashed a house. So it was a few hours before they could back it up and get it back on the road.
And almost a few people.
And almost a few people, too. So, but historically, sometimes Jagannath just stopped his cart. In the time of Mahaprabhu, Jagannath used to stop his cart, and all the people would pull, and the cart wouldn't move, as if the wheels were frozen. King Prataparudra then tied up his elephants, 3 or 4 elephants, to the ropes, pulled Jagannath's cart, and it wouldn't move. It's mentioned that the Mahouts, what is it, Mahout or Hoot? Mahout. They're beating the elephants to get them to pull until the point that the elephants were crying. You see, it beat them so much to pull. Lord Jagannath's cart wouldn't move. And then when everybody was just in utter frustration and dismay why it doesn't go, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went behind it and put his head on the back of it, chanted Hare Krishna, and pushed it. And everybody just walked carrying the rope like this, and Mahaprabhu had his head on Jagannath's cart chanting the Maha Mantra and pushing that cart alone. Everybody else was just like this dancing. And he pushed it for some distance. Then again the people started pulling. So sometimes Jagannath stops that cart for a known reason, like a broken wheel or something, or an unknown reason, he simply stops it. And so it happened that Jagannath, on that Rath Yatra in 1874, his cart just stopped right in front of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's house. And there was something visibly wrong in the mechanisms, the wheels and everything underneath. And it was stopped there for several days for repairs. So this was a good chance, a very nice thing. What is a breakdown for someone is a boon for someone else, you see. Say you're a group of devotees going somewhere and you break down in a village, well that's bad for you, but the people in the village who get to help you and do some service and take you in their home and give you some fruit and milk, that's a boon for them. So one man's headache, another man's blessing. So, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's wife took it, this is a good blessing for our house, and especially for our child, that Lord Jagannath has stopped here. So she carried, because she's Magistrate's wife, she can go up on the cart. So they carried Prabhupada as a child. He was about this much big, I guess. And the mother carried him out and put him in front of Lord Jagannath. It would be a good blessing for that child. And when they put the child in front of Lord Jagannath, one of the many flower garlands just broke down and fell down on top of the child. So everyone was very happy. Oh, Lord Jagannath was giving his blessing. So when that was told, Bhaktivinoda Thakur wasn't there at that moment. But when that news went to Bhaktivinoda that this garland fell on my son, then he was very pleased, and he got signal from Lord Jagannath. This boy is the answer to my prayers. Now again, how do we know that? How does Prabhupada know that? How does any of the followers, disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta, how do they know? They can only know that if Bhaktivinoda Thakur and his wife, if they have told others. Or maybe someone watched it on that day. But Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur was only 4 or 5 months old at the time. But by the time he was reaching his youth, who he was and what he was and what he was to be spiritually, that was becoming evident to many people. In his family circle, in his family of friends, in his teachers, and all around him. Everyone was much astounded by him from the very beginning. And therefore, we can logically understand that then people started to remember and speak about the events of his birth. And then people of that time heard these things, and it's carried on to where we are. Do you follow? No, it's not possible to know about it. The mother would only know about the umbilical cord. The mother and the father are some house servants, and they may take notice of a flower garland. That can be easily forgotten also. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he noted this and took signal from Lord Jagannath that this boy is the answer to my prayers. And so he gave he always took affectionate care of all of his children. He had a large family of 13 children in all. And he was very affectionate and took care of all of them. But it is mentioned that he mentioned to his wife, take special care of this boy, look after him. So then it comes that he was given the name, and I don't know when, between birth and Rath Yatra, I don't know when, but he was given the name Bimal Prasad. That was his name by birth. Probably it's a few days after he's born. But from the very beginning, I guess you would say Bhaktivinoda Thakur had hopes, high hopes, and that this son will be servant of Jagannath, will be a great devotee of Krishna. As most Vaishnavas, when children are born, they have hope that they'll be devotees, and maybe even great devotees. So he named him Bimal Prasad. Bimal Prasad is the Yogamaya potency of Lord Jagannath. Yogamaya is what arranges and reveals the Lord's pastimes, Yogamaya. So he was named Bimal Prasad. That was his name by birth. Bimal Devi. One Devi is there in Jagannath temple. She is Yogamaya of Jagannath. Do you follow? So this also later becomes very true to his birth and birth name, Bimal Prasad. And certainly as it is mentioned here and is historically known, he spread the glories of Mahaprabhu all over Orissa, Bengal, throughout many parts of India, and even sent his messengers as far as England and later on all the way to America. He spread that message. The spreading of the message, the spreading of the Leela pastime, this revealing business, this is Yogamaya potency. So that connection is drawn. And then later on, after 6 months or whatever the time is, there was what is called Anadan Sanskara. That is the first eating of grains or solid food by any infant. So he was gotten Paramana, Mahasweet rice from Lord Jagannath. That was his first food, other than mother's milk. First food he ate Mahaprasad. Then, one day when he was 3 years old is, walking, running, right? 3. People walk around when they're 3, right? He went into the kitchen and he snatched a mango in his house. and he ate the mango. When his mother found out, oh, that basket, those mangoes, those are for offering the deity in the house. They're worshiping Krishna at home also. The Jagannath temple is there. They're worshiping Krishna at home also. So when Bhaktivinoda Thakur came home from work, then the mother told him, you want to do something about your boy. He ate the deity's mango. So then Bhaktivinoda Thakur, only 3 years old. Come on, only 3 years old. So many mistakes at 3 years old. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur then explained to him, that mango you should not have eaten. That basket, that mango, that is Krishna's mango. That is meant for deity. You made a mistake. You did something wrong. You don't take mango. Well, however he explained it, we don't know. But he explained him something of that nature. Do you follow? On the spot, the 3-year-old boy told, I will never eat mango the rest of my life. I have made offense to Krishna. I'll never eat mango again. And the rest of his life, he never ate mangoes. Even, and if you think you got mangoes here, you should go towards Calcutta during mango season in UP and Bihar. My God, the varieties, there are 100 varieties. And the quality of each variety is amazing. Much better than South India as you go north. Mangoes, incredible. And he lived in that location his whole life. They're stacked in the streets. Trucks are filled. Bullock carts are filled. There's rows and rows of sellers of mangoes. They're slicing this way, slicing that way. They're putting with cream. They're making rasam. And he never took mango the rest of his life. And if anybody offered him mango at any home or any place at that time, or even a temple, he would fold his hands and say, I'm sorry, I cannot take mangoes. I'm a big offender. From age 3, he took a vow, I should not eat mangoes. Age 3, and he kept that. When he was 6 years old, he knew the whole Bhagavad Gita by heart. And in a way that if you said, what's the 7th sloka of the 10th chapter? He would tell you. Just like our children, they're learning some slokas. But I say, Anuradha, what's the 14th sloka of the 2nd chapter? We only know if we get the tail of the paper and just tell the whole story, one after another. But he could just go to one verse and tell that verse. And shortly thereafter, he could tell the meaning also. I think by the time he was something like 8, 9, somewhere, he was doing proofreading, editing work for Bhaktivinoda Thakur's publications. So, sometimes, say great personalities, they just come in this world and they are so ordinary. You see, they're just like everybody else. And they might be in the same Maya as everybody else also. Even Prabhupada said, yes, when I was in my Maya. Huh? And what was that Maya? He was in Gandhi movement, he was in college days, he thought in his Maya. Huh? But we were thinking, oh, Prabhupada never in Maya. But he was a follower of Gandhi, he was in his Maya. You know, Bilvamangala Thakur, you know, a very famous saint through all of India, Vaishnav. And he was a Brahmin, then he was a fallen Brahmin, he was boozing, non-veg, he was doing all nonsense. Huh? He was going to ladies, all nonsense things he was doing. Then Krishna entered his life. Now he's known Bilva Mangala Thakur, one of the greatest devotees of Krishna there ever was. So sometimes the great souls come, they come just like everybody else. They're born like everybody else. They educate like everybody else. They even have the Maya of everybody else for some time. Then Krishna enters their life, starts their life, and they are something new immediately. Something incredibly wonderful immediately. That's the difference. That's how we know, oh, they were great souls who came, and they were looking ordinary, even looking nonsense, anything in this material world looking, but then when they contact Krishna, they just came out like the sun just from behind the tree or something. Whereas if you're actually ordinary, because you are ordinary, you got an ordinary birth, you come to Krishna, you come along ordinarily, step by step. And after 20 and 30 years, you know, you start to show something. Maybe. And maybe you never show anything, but you're a devotee of Krishna and you go back to Godhead. But if you have already come here from there, it doesn't matter what ordinary way you're hiding, when your day comes, boom, you come out like immediately. So, actually I must say that there are quite a few of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's followers. They were like that. They came up very fast. But Prabhupada remained hidden. He may remain hidden until he was 70 years old. His godbrothers could recognize, our Prabhupada, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, his godbrothers could recognize, oh, he's a very good preacher. Like maybe they would say, oh, he's really fired up, very fired up householder, something like that. But they did not recognize what was recognized later. Those same godbrothers then recognized later with a great surprise, oh, a Bhai Babu. He's that category of devotee. So he remained hidden his whole life. Then he just came out like the rising sun and went all over the world spreading Krishna consciousness, to the great amazement of many, many people, and many qualified people. So you follow the point. Sometimes a great soul will appear very, very ordinary, even for the duration of almost his whole life, then he'll show something. That is all done by the will of the Supreme Lord. But sometimes, from the moment of the birth, they show they're not ordinary. Bhaktisiddhanta never ate anything that wasn't prasadam in his whole life. And sometimes, even if you live in this ashram, you don't go a week without eating something which isn't prasadam. By traveling something, drinking something, ice cream, something. From the day he was born, after he ate food, he never ate anything that wasn't prasadam his whole life. From the moment of his birth, you cannot find any material, trace in the pastimes of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. Kind of like a personality like Karna, different type personality, but he was born with kavachas, kundalas, earrings, and armor. He's born with it. So everybody knows, this Karna is not an ordinary soul. He's born with armor, you see, some special, not just like metal, but some protective armors were born on him. He had them. And special earrings. He's born with earrings, kundalas. So, in regards to the Bhaktisiddhanta, we can find from his very birth, throughout his life, only there's connection to the divine. From the moment of his birth, his name given, his first eating, his always eating prasadam after that, the garland of Jagannath when he's a few months old, how he mastered his learning and training, and as he got older, how he was just so keen for the proper understanding and who were the real followers of Mahaprabhu. One time when big Sahajiya came to see Bhaktivinoda Thakur, because he's a big man, and this big Sahajiya personality came to his house. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he had to deal with that man in a cordial and friendly way. But Bhaktisiddhanta, he was in the house, he was over somewhere at a distance, and he just gave his obeisances and went the other direction. And then the Sahajiya said, I think that was your son? That's your son? His name was, he was known as Sarasvati then. I think that is your son? Yes, that is my son. Oh, why he's giving dandavats and going away? And Bhaktivinoda told him right on his face, he has taken a vow never to come within 20 meters of a Sahajiya. I think he said 50, they say 50 meters. He just told him right on his face, my son doesn't come to Sahajiya. Just told him straight out. And he was, by the time he was 19, he was so fighting heavily with the Sahajiyas that his life got in danger. And then Bhaktivinoda Thakur sent him to Mayapur. He was in Jagannath Puri. And there are these people who have captured many of Mahaprabhu's places of Leela. And Bhaktisiddhanta vehemently disagreed with them, their procedures, their understanding, and their behavior and their practices. And he was ready to expose them. And he was having confrontation with them, and it heated up to such a point. Then Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, better you go to Mayapur now. Do your bhajan and do service in Mayapur. And so he sent Bhaktisiddhanta to Mayapur from Jagannath Puri. He never tolerated any of this nonsense. So much nonsense is there in India in the name of spirituality. So many cheater gurus, so many bogus followers, huge thing. He never tolerated any of that. If he came across it, just like a snake, cut its head off. The snake is an envious creature. The snake is a poisonous creature. And even in the Shastra it says a sadhu is happy to see the snake is killed. This type of person. So he regarded the Sahajiyas and others just like an envious, poisonous snakes. And he would defeat them. And then he would challenge and defeat. So this became an embarrassment for the Sahajiyas, and it was getting to be a problem. So throughout his life, you don't find any mundanity. Sometimes they may even accuse the householder. Oh, he's householder. There must be something mundane about his life. Even people will say like that. You see. Can't really be a saint until you're a sannyasi, or can't be a saint and so forth like that. Even no one can find any space there to criticize him. He was brahmachari his whole life. He was Naistika brahmachari, and when he was 40 years old, he became a sannyasi. So even there, where some people will try to pick the fault, like one man said about our guru, Prabhupada, because Prabhupada was a householder until he was 59, I think. Somebody told, no, he cannot be Shaktavesh, he cannot be big man of Krishna, he was Grihasta. This is ridiculous. But some people will say, no, must be from the day one, Naistik brahmachari, then sannyasi, then he can be the big man of Krishna. But then what that person would say about Bhakti Vinod. Bhakti Vinod was big family man of Krishna. 14 sons, not 14 sons, I think 10 sons, 4 daughters, something like that. Big family. And never became sannyasi. Actually, he became Babaji. He was Babaji. Babaji sannyasi. White dress sannyasi, like our Haridas. White dress sannyasi. Not this color sannyasi. So, any way you look is what I'm saying. You can't even find a little hole where you can suspect something mundane in the life of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. From the moment of his birth to the very end of his life. And also, he left the world when he was only 62 years old. 62 years old. Which, in the life of a sadhu, a brahmachari, a saint, is not a terribly long time. That's considered very young. But somehow or another, his work was completed. He chose, or the Lord chose, but he left this world when he was 62 years old. That also very unusual. When he was born in Jagannath Puri. When he left this world, he was in Calcutta. And he disappeared in the world. And let me see, when he was born in the day, I don't remember, but I know when he disappeared, it was 5:20 in the morning. Early morning, 20 minutes after 5. You follow? All the clocks stopped. And there were 3 or 4 clocks in that ashram, in that mutt in Calcutta. They all stopped at 5:20. And some people say that the clocks in the other temples of Gaudiya Math, I never heard all, but we heard in Puri and in some other places, all the clocks stopped at 5:20. So it was something of like a miracle at that time. So it is marked from his birth to the very moment that he leaves this world in 62 years. You cannot find anything that even resembles being mundane or material in the life of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. And that is our Param Guru, and that is called your Parameshti Guru, means your Param Guru. So it's important to know, you boys should remember, learn the dates when he was born. Who is the Guru of Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta? Tell me. Who is the Guru of Bhaktisiddhanta? Who? Don't guess, who knows? Gaur Kishore. Huh? Who is your father's father? You know him? You met him? You know his name? Okay, you should know your father's father and your father's father's father. You should know who you are. What is your caste? You should know. Okay, we belong to a caste, a family. We're in the family of Bhakti Vinod. It's called Bhakti Vinod Parivar. And we are known as a Chuta Gotra. Your caste, Chuta Gotra. That means we're in the family of Achyuta, that is Krishna. So you have to know who you are. What's your family tradition? What is your spiritual family tradition? You should know about these things. Young and old, boys and girls, everyone should learn these things. Who is our guru? Who is our guru's guru? When they were born, where did they live? These things should be learned. You follow? All right, so there was a book that was written during his lifetime called Sarasvati Jaya Shri. It was a biography of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. It was written by his disciples and followers, and it was written while he was still alive. Understand why he was still present? Not alive, but present. Why he was still present. So, Kujvihari and I are going to Bangalore today, and that book has arrived for us. It's a very old book, and it's been reprinted, and it's waiting in Bangalore. It's in Bengali, but slowly we're going to get that translated. And in that book there are many stories. Stories means things about his life, things about his preaching, things about his spiritual masters, Gaur Kishore and Bhakti Vinod, and these things. Here's an interesting for you. When Bhaktisiddhanta was at a certain age, don't know exactly the age, something 12-ish, like that, somewhere around there, then Bhakti Vinod Thakur gave him Nrsinga mantra and the worship of Nrsingadev, and also the worship of Kurma Shaligram. So he worshipped Shaligram and Nrsingadev when he was young. Then, at a particular time, he received his japa malas from Bhakti Vinod Thakur. His Harinam and japa beads he got from Bhakti Vinod. And then later, Bhakti Vinod told him to take mantra initiation, mantra diksha, from Gaur Kishore Das Babaji. And so in this way, Bhaktisiddhanta, he has two gurus, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji and Bhakti Vinod. And on those beads, when he was like somewhere around 30 years old, he chanted on his beads 100 rounds per day. Millions of names of Krishna. That means to do that, the tongue can't stop moving, 24 hours a day almost. He used to sleep 2 hours a day for several years and just chant this much Krishna Nam. And all the things he did, very, very exceptional. Very exceptional. Very, very exceptional. And when he was young, he was also very smart. And he got so smart, people started telling, oh, this boy, fine boy, he's getting learning. Now soon must be time for his marriage. Must be time for his marriage. He's learned, he'll earn well, must be time for his marriage. So then he decided to quit all his studies and quit everything. And he wrote in a letter later to his disciple, he said, I thought it was better to be known as a fool than to have people chasing behind me, just trying to get me involved in this material world. So he dropped all of his studies and all these things. And when he quit his studies, then people said, oh, he quit his studies. No, not good for marriage. Jaya?
Yeah, I thought of a couple other things that were, I've heard you say before, is when he was an expert astrologer, was even offered a post.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that. He was very expert with astrology.
And the other thing was unique is that he could recall anything he ever read at any point in his life almost to the page.
Yeah, Shrutidar. It means who doesn't forget anything. He had such an expert memory. And as regards his astrology, he did when he, at a particular point, he dropped his astrology, and then he never touched again. Astrology it's all right for children, it's all right for the family, it has some aspect of all right, if you can find a real astrologer. That's the problem. Astrology is great, but where's the great astrologer? That's the problem. So many cheaters are there. Astrologers are actually not supposed to charge you. One astrologer recently told a devotee, oh, you need to worship Nrsingadev. because you have some bad Mars problem. So that was good for us because that devotee sent like $300 to help build the Sringadev temple. So I bought that big lamp for one thing, and some other things we got for the deity, some silver things and everything. So, but I would tell you, you can worship the Sringadev every day, not just when you're in a Mars. In Mars means some negative astrological influence. So, mostly this astrology puts people on the mental platform. We believe in the holy name of Krishna. There's one thing called Navaratna, 9 gems. If you have some astrological weaknesses, you wear this. But the holy name of Krishna is thousands of times more potent than Navaratnas. So if you have some difficulty, you just chant more Krishna Nam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And you save your money. You don't have to buy gems from cheating jewelers and all these things. And you'll surpass any problem, any bad space. Or if Krishna wants you to go through a bad space and suffer something, then you just take that as that's what you got today. And this is on your head, and you say, oh Krishna, and that's the good of it. And then you move on. You don't go to gems. You want to go to a gem, go to Govardhan. The gem of gems is Govardhan, Giriraj Maharaj. You go to the lotus feet of Krishna. Each toe of Krishna is the gem of gems. Don't think that by just going and getting some small ruby that your life is going to be saved. Or even if you could get a ruby this big, it's basically the same thing. Minimum benefit. But from the holy name of Krishna, we can draw maximum benefit. So at a particular time, so as people would not be misunderstood, he also gave up all his studies in astrology. That's called Jyotish. He was a very big man in all these things. But he gave up all these things and preferred one thing only. The holy name of Krishna, the lotus feet of the Vaishnavas. That was everything in the life of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. And he distributed that to others. That is actually the most significant wealth that is achievable from Brahmaloka to Patalaloka. Throughout the universe, the greatest achievable wealth is 2 things. The holy name of Krishna, the dust of the lotus feet of the Vaishnavas. There is no superior wealth to that. This wealth can surpass all difficulties. This wealth, if we possess it, can even surpass death. And everyone in this world has to surrender to Yama, death, and Yamaraj, the Lord of death. They have to surrender to it. They cannot escape it. But who has this wealth, the holy name of Krishna and the dust of the lotus feet of the Vaishnavas on his head, he surpasses that also. He can pay the toll, and without blinking an eye, he surpasses that. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's great contribution was that this would not just be for a few people of Bengal or even India, but he had a vision that he shared with, or that Bhaktivinoda Thakur also shared with him, and that is that Krishna consciousness should go to every nook and cranny of the world, every town and village of the world. They had this vision and they wanted to carry it out. One time, Srila Prabhupada in Hyderabad, our Prabhupada, in the morning, he was walking, and it was a full moon morning, so early, the moon is still there, early, like 5 o'clock. But just came out after Mangalarti, he was going for a walk, and the moon was still there. And he stopped and he pointed to the moon and he said a few things. And then he said, my Guru Maharaj went to the moon. He's saying Bhaktisiddhanta went to the moon. After leaving this world, he said, I think he has gone to the moon. Going for preaching on the moon. He said, because sometimes before his disappearance, Bhaktisiddhanta lamented that in the moon, they have gotten a little fallen in Kali Yuga. They are fallen there. They are in need of the holy name of Krishna. He had some desire that we should save the people in the moon also. Even they are higher than earth. In Kali Yuga, they got something down. So he wanted, so in that way he just mentioned, my Guru Maharaj is Nitya Lila. He said, my Guru Maharaj is eternally preaching, always. He's going from one planet, one universe, on and on, forever and ever. He's always preaching Mahaprabhu's message. So on that day in Hyderabad, we got the message from Prabhupada. We should have such a desire and such an appreciation for the Sankirtan movement that we develop a desire. We want to follow also our masters wherever they go for preaching. We want to go there also. We are not liberationists like Mayavadis. They just want to be free. Of course, if Krishna says, you come on back to Godhead, no, we're happy to go. But the secret is, who is always out preaching the message of Mahaprabhu, he's also eternally living in the spiritual world simultaneously. He gets the best of both worlds. Lives eternally in the spiritual world and spreads the message of Mahaprabhu eternally. Such devotees are very, very rare. Very rare. What Prabhupada thought, his Guru Maharaj was like that. Nitya Leela. His eternal duty and pastimes was the Sankirtan of Mahaprabhu. That book called the Authorized Chaitanya, Sri Chaitanya, the Authorized Sri Chaitanya Sarasvati Parampara. There's the book that we have. There's a picture of Sankirtan of Mahaprabhu in the background. And then one little square and Bhakti Siddhanta is there with his danda. What does that mean? That means he comes from that. He comes from the Kirtan of Mahaprabhu, the eternal Kirtan. He comes from that Kirtan. And he comes here with the danda to establish the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this world. The mission that had been polluted by Sahajiyas and other types of people. He comes from there to here to establish that. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Sarasvati Thakura Prabhupada.
Jai